Before attending the opening ceremony of the PyeongChang Winter Games, President Moon Jae-in will meet several high-ranking foreign guests. Hwang Hojun fills in on the Liberal leader's Olympic diplomacy schedule.
It was an extremely busy day for the South Korean president on Friday as he held separate one-on-ones with three world leaders. President Moon first held a luncheon meeting with UN Secretary General Guterres. It was his third meeting with the UN chief after the G20 summit in July and the UN General Assembly in September. President Moon said the atmosphere in terms of inter-Korean relations has changed dramatically since his visit to New York.
구테레시 사무총장님을 중심으로 유엔과 국제사회는 한반도의 평화를 굳게 지지해 주었습니다. 평화롭고 안전한 평창 동계올림픽 개최에 힘을 보태 주었습니다.
The UN Secretary General in return said that while the Olympic Games are important, the real reason he visited South Korea was to express his solidarity with the South Korean people who have achieved the most outstanding success since the Second World War. The Blue House also confirmed that the two leaders agreed that efforts should be made to ensure that the momentum for dialogue built up during the PyeongChang Olympics needs to lead to dialogue between Washington and Pyongyang to ultimately resolve the North Korean nuclear issue. Later in the afternoon, President Moon also met with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And with that, President Moon had met with all the delegates and heads of state from the four key powers in the region, minus Russia. During the meeting with Abe, President Moon first expressed his gratitude for Abe's visit to South Korea and called for joint efforts from both Seoul and Tokyo for the two countries to become, quote, true friends.
그간 수차례 분명히 밝혔듯이 역사를 직시하면서도 또 총리님과 함께 지혜와 힘을 합쳐서 양국 간 미래지향적 협력을 추진해 나가고자 하며 이를 위해 셔틀 외교를 복원하고 활성화하는 등 정상 차원의 긴밀한 소통과 협력을 강화해 나가고자 합니다.
Shortly afterwards, the South Korean president met with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. The two leaders exchanged views on how to boost their bilateral relations in areas including the Fourth Industrial Revolution and green energy before heading to a pre-opening ceremony reception for the leaders hosted by President Moon himself. Hwang Hojun, Arirang News.